Hey everyone, my name is Miriam and welcome to another video. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how companies actually make money and what it matters to you as a data scientist and probably as anybody else who works in a numerator role. All right, so a bit of a backstory. Last week, I attended a careers fair and I stopped over at GE Aerospace stand. For anybody who doesn't know, GE Aerospace, they are a leading manufacturer of jet engines. They actually manufacture a lot of jet engines. And I was talking to an electrical engineering student there. He's doing his internship. And while we're just talking and making light of the situation, I asked him, "Yo, why are you in GE Aerospace? You're not even studying aeronautics or anything relating to that, all right?" And his answer was, "Do I know that most of GE's money doesn't come from engines? It actually comes from their aeronomics products. So basically, the ongoing data services and maintenance that is sold to about 70% of airlines." And I was like, wait, what? Like, everybody knows GE makes jet engines, right? All right, but anyways, I left the careers fair and I got home. So I looked up what he said, and he's actually right. GE Aerospace has a 154 billion backlog, all right, of contracted future revenue. Now, let me scale it down so that it gets really easy. All right. What that means when you put it into perspective is, imagine a software developer, all right, who builds an app and the price for building that app is $50,000, all right? This is really nice. This is solid amount, okay? Now, imagine that same developer now has $1 million in contracted maintenance revenue. So that is amount that he's going to earn for the next 10 years just to maintain that app. That is the scale that GE is at. Just for building a jet engine and then getting to be the ones to maintain it. And so you see, money keeps coming to them every month from that single jet engine that you've built. All right. So you see, that is the difference. The one-time payment versus the recurring revenue. So you see, GE, when you put that into consideration, you realize that GE isn't primarily an engine manufacturer, right? They are more of a services company that manufactures engines by the side. So it's like the engine is like the hook, all right? And the real business is decades of monitoring and maintenance. And when I realized this, I paused for a minute and I was like, this totally changes how we need to start thinking about data science careers. And that is why in today's video, I'm going to break down this principle that I coined out of everything the guy told me. And I'm literally just calling the principle follow the money principle. I know it's simple, it's absolutely stupid, but bear with me. All right, so let's get into it. All right, so you see, the principle of follow the money is, don't assume the obvious product is where companies make revenue. You want to be able to look at recurring revenue streams. All right, because you see, data science and operational research careers, arguably, they are most valuable when they solve problems that cost companies money repeatedly. All right, so you see, GE could just focus only on building better engines, but quite frankly, there's so much more revenue from maintaining those engines. All right, and obviously, this creates much more value for them. So you see, companies want systems, just like GE, that keeps working for them, not that one-off product that they are selling. And you see, that is pretty much the principle of it. So I'm going to be giving you some examples of companies, or basically more of sectors that you think this is how they make money, but actually this is how they make money and how you might be able to apply it to your career. All right, so first one is airlines. So people think airlines make money from ticket sales, but no, a lot of airlines make so much money from their loyalty programs and from cargo. Airlines make so much money from cargoes. It's like a massive revenue generator. All right. In fact, British Airways, a couple of years ago, they did an operational research work where they were trying to improve the turnaround times. For basically, turnaround time is a period where an airplane arrives on the tarmac and how long it takes it to be ready for takeoff. All right. See, and anybody who listens to this will probably assume, oh yeah, they're trying to improve customer experience, get out of the plane and get on your next plane as soon as possible. But actually, faster turnarounds mean that more flights per day, okay? And more flights means more cargo runs. More cargo runs mean more revenue, all right? And you see, the entire operational research work they did a few years back was more tied to how they can make more money. So you see, if you're building projects in aviation, you want to find a way to get into aviation, or you're already there but you want to expand, you want to be able to target operational inefficiencies, all right? The things that are not at 100% yet, and it's costing the company money, all right? So common examples are the turnaround times that I talked about. You can also look at crew scheduling. I've been hearing a lot of information about crew scheduling and how you might be able to make that process seamless for airlines. You may also look at fuel optimization. So these are absolutely exciting projects that help a company improve their revenue. Another common sector is shipping. So there are like a couple of maritime tech companies, okay? And when you think about these companies, when you check their About Us page, you probably see that, or you would assume that the majority of their money will come from marketplace, transaction fees from matching somebody with a vessel to somebody that wants to move a cargo. But if you followed the money principle, if you used it, you would see that a lot of these tech companies in the maritime world, they actually make so much more money from subscription services that other companies are paying to use their intelligence, to use their data, to use their analytics. All right. So you see that ongoing subscriptions, those recurring revenue, companies, like when I mean companies, crazy when I mean companies, so many news outlets are paying. Many universities are also paying. Many government agencies are paying. These are people that have absolutely no business in the maritime world, yet they are paying so much money to maritime tech companies for the data they have, for the analytics they have. So you see, they pay all of this money because they need those insights on a continuous basis. So don't build a one-time project because you think that these companies are making a bulk of their money from the marketplace. All right, you want to be able to build something that demonstrates a continuous value, something companies would want to subscribe to, basically. Yeah, that is just the word, would want to subscribe to. Another industry that's quite funny like that is finance, okay? And more specifically, banks, right? So people think that banks make the most of their money from loans and interest. So you take out the mortgage and then they make their money from the interest of that mortgage. But so many banks, especially if you niche down to investment banks, they make a huge amount of profits from their trading operations and from asset management. Yes. All right. So you see, when you go deeper into things like trading operations, you start seeing problems that aren't obvious. Things like trade settlement failures. These things cost money every single day, because if you can find a way to reduce those failures by an hour, 2 hours, you would have saved money on every future transaction moving forward. All right. Another one is like things like portfolio rebalancing. So some investment companies still do it manually and it's slow. So if you can find a way to automate it, that would be such a huge relief for these companies. Probably another example that comes to mind is with tax optimization. These guys have hundreds of tax documents to go through. So all of these are recurring revenues for every company that deals with tax on a regular basis. So as much as you want to break into the finance world as a data person, as somebody who deals with numbers, you should pause before you build another stock predictor. I'm sorry, I know how much work it takes to build one, all right? But instead, think about building something that solves recurring operational problems, okay? And all of those projects I listed earlier might be better off for you and might make you be more attractive. So I don't know if by now you might have picked up the pattern, all right? But the pattern here is follow where the money actually is, and you will find the most valuable problems there. All right. So if you don't take anything else out of this video, just take these 3 important points. Number one is when you're researching companies, so when you Google the name of the company, add revenue breakdown, all right? And whatever comes up, especially if it's reports or if it's end of the year news, all right, try to read through it. Try to find where the money actually comes from, all right? That's where the valuable problems are. Number two is when you're building projects that solve recurring problems, ask yourself, would a company pay a subscription for this? That is like the filter you should use to judge every one of your projects moving forward. Would a company genuinely look at this and go like, you know what, I think we're actually going to pay you for this? It doesn't matter the amount, who cares, all right? But if companies are inclined to pay you monthly for the idea you're trying to build, that's probably a good indication that you're doing something right. All right. And then thirdly is if you get the opportunity to be in interviews, always ask questions like, where does your department generate the most revenue from? Or what operational problems cost you money repeatedly? And aside from the valuable response you're going to get, you sort of also put yourself in this new light where you're no longer just a tech person. You're obviously somebody who also understands the business side of things, which is a really hard blend to find with technical people and being able to understand particularly business problems. All right, so that is really how you follow the money. And when you solve problems that are tied to revenue, you immediately become more valuable. Okay, so just to round up on this video, that is pretty much the principle: follow the money. And it's crazy how one career fair conversation literally, I think I spoke to Guy for about 5 minutes, changed how I now look at every company. Now, every time I look at a company, the next thing I'm going to check is how are they making money? I don't care what they're writing their about page about their product or their service or what they're doing right now. I want to know how exactly are they making money? And that is actually where most data science programs live in. They live where companies need to make revenue. All right, that's sort of where the opportunities are. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you learned something. I obviously learned a lot from that conversation, and I hope you've been able to gain a couple of points from it. Next week, I am looking at data maturity across industries, and this is going to be quite an interesting topic for me and probably for everybody else, because not all industries use data the same way. We do know that. And understanding these changes can actually lead you to be in a position where your impact is felt a lot more faster than in other places. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great afternoon.